Jesus Christ, not again. Just can't get the night off, huh? What's happening, film friends? Dave the Film Junkie here. That's right, we have another article. This time from Variety, that I'm gonna go over right now. I'll try to go over it quickly because it's just like, how many times are we gonna talk about this one guy, you know, we're talking about? And you guys know why I call him that. But anyways, we're gonna go over this article and we're just gonna talk about some of the new things that are in this whole thing. So, so buckle those seatbelts. Actually, you shouldn't be watching this while you're driving. Inside the confusing slate of DC, from huge Joker 2 paydays to search for their Kevin Feige. Zazzy Pants, still available. So naturally, the first few paragraphs kind of just talk about the stuff we've been talking about all week. If you haven't caught up on any of that, check out the Film Junkie Lives on the channel Monday through Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you haven't checked them out, do so right here. But this paragraph stands out as it talks about Joker 2, and it says, as it stands, only one new DC feature project currently has a green light post-merger. Joker, Folie à Deux, probably saying that wrong, as per usual, which is scheduled to hit theaters in 2024, the follow-up to the wildly successful Yes, 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 We Know. But then it talks about this, and this is what's interesting, because we were talking about how David Zaslav is really trying to cut down on a lot of the budgets and the money and everything, and I even thought, yeah, sometimes these actors and producers, directors, they might just get a little too much scratch, and apparently it's not getting cut down here, because Joaquin Phoenix and Todd Phillips are believed to be getting $20 million paydays, and new co-star Lady Gaga is getting $10 million. I can already hear the equal pay things that are, they're coming. Those salaries combined with the cost of producing complicated musical sequences, though one insider stresses Joker 2 is more like A Star is Born than In the Heights, means that the sequel will cost roughly $150 million to produce. So $30 million is already going to the director and the two leads, which I'm just kind of going, man, you can even just cut those in half, save a little bit of money, but I don't know what they're doing here. But I do like the fact that it's saying that it's more like A Star is Born than in the Heights, because everybody's just kind of going, is the whole thing going to be like this crazy musical? They're just going to, no, I think it's going to be something interesting. And it says complicated, so even more intrigued. Speaking of budgets, it does talk about the Batman, how the Batman was a lower budget, but then of course COVID inflated it. It says upwards of, about $200 million, like the Batman, for example, which earned a solid $770 million globally in a pandemic environment. Writer-director Matt Reeves is on track for a sequel with star Robert Pattinson, but the project remains in development and does not yet have a green light.
Don't do this to me. God damn it!
Told you nobody was safe. I'm pretty sure that Matt Reeves is safer than some of the other people, but my God, I was stressing this with all this stuff that nobody is really safe right here. Let's hope that, the Penguin series is supposed to be shooting in February, so let's keep our fingers, toes, balls crossed. Then it talks about the whole HBO Max launching movies on there. That's been abandoned, obviously, with the whole Batgirl thing. Talks about Jason Kylar a little bit. Then talks about Blue Beetle, which features, of course, the first Mexican-American.
Mexican-Americans don't like to just get into gang fights. They like flowers and music and white girls named Debbie too.
Big screen superhero, had originally been part of this strategy, but even before Zaslav took the reins, the film pivoted to a traditional release with a $100 million budget that is now coming out in 2023, which is interesting because there's something going around that they were doing additional photography or reshoots in Puerto Rico, and apparently there was some kind of gang shooting that the cast and crew were in the crossfire or some shit. Maybe somebody got that on film. And then here comes a little bit of a saving face when it comes to Batgirl, or I shall say, saving grace. Newly installed Warner Brothers Pictures group chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi seeking to mend fences with Batgirl star Leslie Grace, and are entertaining the possibility of having her continue to play Batgirl in a future DC film. So there you go. They're trying to be like, hey, we're trying to make things right. And I know a lot of people are going like, Batfleck movie, Batgirl's supposed to be in it, which is true, which is absolutely true. But again, what I always stress is, it's not up to them, it's up to him. I'm going to talk more about this on the Patreon self-pod that I'm going to do tonight. So if you want to subscribe to the Patreon, I'm going to go in more in-depth with some of this stuff like that when it comes to, when it comes to the buzz of, this Ben Affleck guy and that Henry Cavill. fella. Moving along, we got this right here. It says, in fact, the future of DC film could very well be present. DeLuca and Abdi have made no secret that they want Hamada to remain at the helm of the unit. A fellow New Line alum, Hamada, was brought on to stabilize DC's film slate and blah, 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 blah. And he apparently had this plan to do a Crisis on Infinite Earths, which I talked about yesterday, and hashtag Hamada had nada. Where do you think this is all coming from? Honestly, where do you think this is all coming from? Because what's going to happen further down into this article is the fact that we're going to see something slam. You're going to see the S name, the Snyder name showing up. But Warner Brothers rank and file also believe that Hamada has been mistreated even before Discovery bought the company from AT&T. They note that Hamada had to endure death threats after Justice League star Ray Fisher publicly accused the executive of undermining an investigation into misconduct allegations related to the reshoots on that film. Many staffers believe the studio did not do enough to back their embattled executive and feel it was unfair that he became the target of Snyderverse fans because that film was completed before he took over at DC. But again, we all know why I refer to him as. And Snyder fans, don't emphasize this, don't blow it up, because this is what they're trying to do. So what they're trying to do, they're trying to make you play into their hand, because basically I've already seen it on my timeline. We're going like, where are these death threats? Where are these death threats? It's like, yeah, maybe, okay, you didn't do the death threats. Somebody probably did, because in every fandom, there's always going to be those fringe people that just do that shit because people suck. They suck. And that's just the case. It's just what happens. So then if you emphasize this, guess what? There are going to be people who are on the other side of things and are just going to be like, yeah, I've gotten death threats. Look at this. Check this out. Look at these DMs. And they're just going to show that, and then you're going to play right into their hands. So no. And then Hamada, blah, 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 keeps on going and says, beyond those projects, DC's future on TV gets much murkier when it talks about, of course, Green Lantern. Talked about all this yesterday. And it just keeps on, and going on. But it does say right here, which I didn't mention yesterday, that Doom Patrol and Titans are pretty much going to be on the chopping block, which we kind of suspected that, especially Titans not been so strong. Doom Patrol's been a little bit of a cult hit, but just not. I don't think there has been enough buzz when it comes to Doom Patrol, and yeah, that sucks. But at least we got a few seasons out of it. That's good enough, right? Guys, just realize who this is coming from. I mean, obviously this is what happens, and then of course they're always going to throw Snyder or the Snyder fandom in there somewhere, and just don't play into it that much. But I know it's hard because we all kind of act on emotion. But yeah, that's pretty much what they're talking about. But I mean, when it comes to Joker 2, I mean, they really wanted to put that out there of like how much that's going to cost them, the paydays, which I think is odd when they're trying to save money. Kind of interesting. And then of course the the uneasy news that the Batman sequel might be hasn't been fully greenlit. I mean, I'm sure it eventually will be, but it's just man, I tell you what, they just got it. The biggest thing, what we always keep on saying, we said it on the Vodka stream, I keep saying it over and over again, is Superman's house needs to get in order. That's what needs to happen. And of course, there is that good-looking gentleman that we want back into those blue and red tights, and we'll see what happens when it comes to all that, because yeah, it's still just very much up in the air. But yeah, like I said, I'll talk more about it on my Self Pod Patreon exclusive little podcast that I try to do every Thursday or at least once a week. So if you haven't subscribed to that, please do so. And anyways, guys, we'll be okay. Everything's going to be fine, all right? Yeah. There's going to be no more of these. This is the last one. I swear. We won't see any more. I'm going to go cry now thinking that, yeah, that's not going to be the last one.